back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. How high is your electricity bill at home or at work? How are you able to pay it? What conservation methods have you employed to get it to that level? Do you envision your demand for more electricity increasing? Are you open to another or a different solution? Well, how about nuclear energy? To discuss these matters this morning, we have online Mr. David Barrett, Certified Energy Manager, and Mr. Jason Robinson, CEO of SolarBuzz Jamaica, Vice President of Jamaica Renewable Energy Association, JREA. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint.
Great morning. Good to have both of you with us. Now, let's see if we can hit the ground running. Well, Mr. Robinson, and then I'll throw it back to you, Mr. Barrett. Your initial thoughts on the establishment and the use of nuclear power to generate our electricity in Jamaica. Mr. Robinson, what do you think about it?
Well, I'm against nuclear power for Jamaica. I mean, what we have seen in the media recently from some of the ministers and Mr. Lee Chin, a businessman who has been really pushing it, is that they want to put small nuclear reactors in Jamaica. That is the new version of nuclear reactors that are being pushed globally. These mini nuclear reactors that they say are less expensive to produce, to build, and they take up less space. However, a lot of that from what I've been seeing is not true. They are still very expensive. Costs have been going up tremendously. But one of the things that we need to look at is that there's none of them in existence in the world yet. There's no track record of these small nuclear reactors. There's a one in production in China, I think, possibly somewhere else. So these small nuclear reactors have no track record. Once you have a nuclear reactor, you need a tremendous availability of skilled labor and the necessary infrastructure to create this plant. I don't know where in Jamaica we would put this. We haven't seen a detailed report released from the government. They said that they have approved the research to go forward, but the design and plan for these nuclear plants take 5 to 7 years, and to build one takes 5 to 7 years. You need a tremendous amount of water for cooling, or you may get a meltdown if it's not sufficient. Can we supply that water? We are vulnerable to natural disasters. We're in a hurricane zone and an earthquake zone. Most of these plants around the world are built in very developed countries, first world, and they have had issues. Chernobyl, Fukushima was an earthquake. 3 Mile Island in the States had a meltdown. It takes a tremendous amount of security and emergency response as well. I mean, you're looking at the cost of a highly skilled police force, army, and fire department on call 24/7 in case of any issue. Since 2014, there's been close to 100 serious accidents with nuclear reactors, and 60% of those have been in the United States alone. I just think Jamaica's lack of, history of lack of transparency, etc., when it comes to extreme projects,
Just testing to see
lends us to have major issues with trying to facilitate a nuclear plant for Jamaica, along with the extreme danger it's going to bring to us should something go wrong.
A mouthful there. Mr. Barrett, your thoughts?
So the positives tend to be promoted, i.e. there are no emissions, for example, and that the fuel lasts for a long time, 4 to 5 years sometimes. And I think among all the positives, that might be it. There are significant amount of downsides. One is that the fuel does at some point become poisoned, as Jason pointed out. And so you have to change it. So it's not the concept that you put this fuel in and it's going to be there forever. You'll never have to get any more. As long as nuclear plants have been operating, there has been no disposal option. It's merely storage within safe containment and burial, but no disposal. So that's a huge environmental issue. The safety of the operations tend to be something that's highly promoted, but bear in mind, the challenge you have is if you do have an accident, the kind of impact would be devastating for Jamaica as far as I'm concerned. If you look just at Chernobyl,
Region?
over
Other parts of the region too.
yes, Chernobyl accident alone impacted almost 20 other European nations just from the dust that blew from that country into the others. For Fukushima, the water was contaminated. They were finding radioactive products in milk, in fish, and so on. And it is possible to have some level of leakage into your water. As Jason pointed out, you need water to cool many of these systems. And that water can then carry some of the radioactive products. So you can see our aquatic systems being affected because these systems are normally placed close to a water source, a sea, lake, that kind of large body of water. So you can have cooling. But even if you use helium, which is used for these small pebble bed reactors, the SMRs, small modular reactors, that gas is carrying temperatures of 900 degrees centigrade, right? So if you have any fault or flaw in the cooling down process, you can have a significant negative accident. So those are things that we have to be concerned about. Also bear in mind that we still have to purchase the fuel from an external source. Jamaica should be driving at using all our indigenous sources, or solar, hydro, wind, biomass, all our indigenous sources, get out of the market for purchasing fuel from external sources, right? And then you will have to have significant arrangements to have these other countries or countries which supply us with nuclear to take that fuel back. As it is, we're having a difficult time just with plastic, right? So, I think it's not suitable for us right now. And as Jason said, the small modular bed systems have not really been applied. Had the first one that was approved by the International Energy Agency.
Yeah, Mr. Barrett, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right.
I can hear you.
Based on what both of you have said so far, one would assume that our government, our leaders, are au fait with at least half of this information. How is it that it's being pushed now as a possibility, as a proposal? What could be behind that thought process, Mr. Barrett?
All right. So I would say the main driver is lowering the cost of electricity generation and sale, right? Nuclear can do that. So I think that is the biggest driver. I can't see why else, unless it's just trendy to talk about these things. But I think Jamaica is mature enough to focus on what's good for our energy security and the safety of our people, to move away from something that perhaps sounds good and has perhaps just one assumed benefit. If we're thinking about replacing generation, I mean, Jason's company and others doing solar, we know how to replace, fossil generation. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Yes. And as you talk about alternatives now, I believe that LNG, Mr. Robinson, was touted as one of the main solutions. And now we're hearing that when you look back on it, the electricity bills have not been greatly reduced over the years. Can you explain that for us? And why shouldn't we not therefore be looking at nuclear?
Well, as David pointed out correctly, that with nuclear, we'd still be buying the products from another source. It was the same thing with LNG. When the LNG plan was being promoted, the renewable energy sector warned against putting all our eggs in one basket for a commodity, because there's a risk of the price going up. And that's exactly what has happened. No one could have foreseen COVID and supply chain issues that happened, but these things happen. That is life. It's the ability to adapt to change. But when you put yourself in a position where you are now have put back to LNG and the price skyrockets when there is an issue, our energy costs, when we were promised by the then Minister of Energy, Philip Paulwell, was that we get single digit energy costs from LNG, and we're more, our energy bills are higher than they've ever been, because I get energy bills every day for a living. That's what I do, analyze them, and they are at the highest they've been with LNG deployed, and that is why we think that distributed rooftop solar made available through more accessible financing through the institutions and the NHT are the solution that's available right now for everyone in Jamaica. Nuclear is going to take 10 to 15 years. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're going to say, Mr. Robinson, that you're expected to be saying that, CEO of SolarBuzz.
Yes.
Yes. But are there no other alternatives that we need to address and to explore?
Well, yeah, I mean, saying that I'm expected to say it, of course, you go into business and hopefully do what you love and you find a passion. Nuclear wasn't my passion. So I'm going to go into the business of solar energy because I like to give people independent power. So I will promote independent solar energy power that has proven to be the best source of energy in the last decade. And I will continue to do so. I don't regret that. And, I think there should be an energy mix. I'm not saying solar is the only answer, let's shut down everything else. I'm saying solar energy with plus storage is the immediate answer that's available right now by SolarBuzz and many other good companies in Jamaica. We have solar battery storage, and we need resilient power in homes and businesses because we're in a hurricane zone. So we can provide that now, but what the industry lacks is financing from institutions that's quick and readily available. And the NHT, I think, needs to adjust some of their policies as well to allow new mortgages to include solar energy. These are things the government could do with the stroke of a pen, but they have refused to because we've been asking for them for over a decade. So to go and say we should go back centralized power again, dangerous centralized nuclear power that could wipe out half the population of Jamaica if something goes wrong, instead of deploying distributed rooftop energy solar with battery storage into everyone's home so that everyone can have backup power immediately, and then look at other alternatives over the next 10 to 15 years, I think would be a mistake.
Hear loud and clear. So, Mr. Barrett, what else apart from the solar should we be looking at even more?
Well, yeah, I mean, we still have opportunities for hydropower, which, over 7 locations have been identified as having good opportunity. And you can add to just a straight hydro, and you can do hydro pump storage, where you can move that water during the day using solar or wind up to an elevation, and then at nights or other times you can release that water. So that's another option. We still haven't done anything about waste to energy. Waste to energy technology uses everything that's combustible within our dumps or landfills to produce energy. And it's not just an energy solution, it's also hygiene and waste management solution. We haven't gotten that off the ground yet. And of course, wind continues to be a good opportunity for us, not just onshore, but offshore. Let me just touch on floating solar is also another another technology which is right there. So we do have options. We do have local options. I'm going to be very specific. We have local options.
So we have the water, the wind, and the waste that we can deal with. In terms of the hydro, though, with Jamaica's water concerns, even in a regular year, how would that work? Barrett?
Well, the hydro plants that we use are fairly small. They don't cut off water use from other social or agricultural uses. So it doesn't present concern about hydro, of course, is that you have to do your geological studies, you have to do your environmental studies. But yeah, we do have some resources. I wouldn't put a lot on that. You know,
right. Believe it or not, we have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so very much for what I regard as an informative, insightful, and interesting discussion on this whole matter of nuclear energy. And it seems to me that we are saying no to this, at least on this program so far. Have a productive day, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Toussaint. You too. Thanks, David.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.